well.
Well, Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball, you said no to. I think that they're kind of, they're important, but I feel what you're saying. They're more spectacle, and look at me, and I'm so smart.
Well,
Kyle Kalinske is disappointing because he has said so many times that it would be so easy to run for Congress. You know, you run as a progressive, just run on Medicare for all. He said just like, you know, he's talked about how easy it would be to run for Congress. He also says that his district, he's got a Mondaire Jones, some progressive is actually in his district. So he's like, he doesn't need to run because he's got a super progressive already. No, we got to hold him accountable, right? So he should just run just to make sure he stays as progressive as he possibly can. So he could, I don't know. I feel like Kalinske has been disappointing. I used to click on everything, like 2007 or 16. Every video he put out, I listened to every single one he had. So he was like the only person that I was that I even trusted.
He was really on fire back then. I mean, he was amazing. No, he was way more genuine. He just lost it more and more and more as Sink, you know, became his personal mentor and idol.
Well, even then, he debated Jink. He debated Jink and said, you know, told him his position on Jill Stein, and like it was an awesome debate. It was a great conversation.
Right. I mean, yeah, good theatrics, I guess, and that's what I'm just against is propaganda and theatrics and stuff. When they know they're really just trying to get you to support Joe Biden, like.
So what? Okay, let's talk about the ones we like then.
I always tweeted out Crystal Ball the day Bernie stepped down in 2020 election. Crystal Ball liked a tweet by Andrew Yang that said, "Now let's come together and beat this guy." And then that was what she was all about in every other video. It's just like, you gotta really, though, at the end of the day, kind of slip in the point. You know, you have to we have to kind of go for Biden though, because Trump sucks. I mean, and I don't know that because I never watched a single other video from her because I immediately unsubscribed because that's how much of a Scorpio I am. Or whatever, I don't know. And like I just immediately stopped watching. But I assume, and I think I assumed correctly, I don't even care. I know what she's about. I know her and Kyle. I knew months before even that point, like a long time ago this year, that he was really just trying to work up the courage to say vote Biden. Because I know that's what he's ultimately all about, is he's just a part of Sync, and Sync is just a part of the MSNBC. Not just MSNBC, he's just a part of all the corrupt Democratic establishment and how they use their media apparatus.
You like
they're underground, dude. Sync is like, oh hey guys, I'm really part of you, but I'll pretend like I'm one of them. And I mean, and then Kyle's learning the trade from Sync, and I mean, and Crystal Ball is perfecting the trade. And this is not the direction we want to go in. We don't want those people. We want the real people out of the internet to be
like who?
To come up.
Like who?
Like Tim Black and like Jimmy Dore. I feel like they're more real. I don't know if they're 100% authentic. I don't know. I always have my skepticism about both of them. Always will. I'm very much a skeptic.
What do you think about Max Blumenthal?
I'm 99% sure about those two.
What do you think about Max Blumenthal?
Everything I heard from him, I've liked. He's pretty intelligent and like.
He's super smart. He went into, you remember how they were amping up a coup d'etat in Venezuela and it was getting like real close and scary? Under Trump, maybe 2 years ago?
Oh yeah. Typical Latin American politics.
Yeah, well, we were sabotaging them. We were, like, destroying their grid, like, with sonar or some crap, and we were doing a whole bunch of stupid shit. Basically just trying to destabilize their government. We were doing a blockade. We were going to send in, you know, food, but really it was just a bunch of weapons and shit. So we were playing war games with that actually outright war. And Max Blumenthal, that's when he went to Venezuela and interviewed people. And so did, Abby Martin went down there, too. And the FBI, I think, they searched him, or Max Blumenthal got in some shit with the FBI because they, you know, I guess because he went to Venezuela, and they're like, what the fuck? And they searched through his shit, and, you know, he's still out here and, you know, still doing a journalism thing. So I feel like that motherfucker's a beast. He's untouchable, and he is super smart. And I feel like they've been, him and Aaron Mate and Max Blumenthal, they're kind of I don't know. I mean, if anything, it's Jimmy Dore is smart to hang out with them more than that they're smart to hang out with Jimmy Dore, because I feel like they're on their game 100%. It's just maybe they're too smart.
It's symbiotic and reciprocal.
Well, I think maybe they're too smart for America, and so they're just kind of like pacing themselves so that way they don't come out as, you know, full-blown like radical or something. I don't know. But Max Blumenthal, I was thinking he would be a good person to coalesce around and start a network. Like you were saying, Jimmy Dore, but I was thinking maybe, what about Glenn Greenwald? Like The Intercept kind of fucked him over. Maybe we could start a network that actually keeps, you know, the people that, the founder.
Yeah, man, I mean, maybe if we build up our own little thing, then they'll be interested at some point, you know, if we show them actual, because I mean, ideas are one thing, but you know what I mean, start making it into a tangible, you know, concrete thing. But yeah, like those, what do you call it?
What about the Convo couch? You ever check him out?
Just barely. It seemed a little long-winded, and I couldn't get into it, but
yeah. What about Lee?
I'm one to talk, huh? I'm one to talk. That's funny.
No, that's all right. Lee Camp, Jackson Hinkle, Steph Zamorano, Frank Analysis. Did you check him out?
No, not yet, but I subscribed to everybody that he told me about.
What about Brianna Joy Gray? What do you think of her?
I need to look into her more, too. I think I've heard her, though. I think I like her. I think I have a picture of who that is in my mind. Hold on a second.
As a black woman, she's like front and center of the whole movement. She's the one that wrote the article and interviewed Noam Chomsky and interviewed everybody and went to the protest.
I've heard of her.
Oh, man. She is awesome. There's another person. I feel like there's a professional, a beautiful professional. She was going to be a lawyer, and then she was with the Bernie campaign, press secretary or some shit, and now she believed the rhetoric. She's like you. She believed the rhetoric, and now she's like, what the fuck, you know? Now there's no leader, so I think she's the professional face for the revolution. She looks good, you know. I mean, she's pretty or whatever, but she's like clean. She's like well dressed.
It's not like I would want to build a network and then be like, hey, now we gotta steal these guys' ideas and we gotta slander them and we gotta look better than them, because that's what people who, you know, are weak. That's what people who don't have much. That's what they have to do. But you know, I want to build. You know, like if people don't want to like, you know, hang out with us or discuss shit with us or work with us or work with you know, the network, the thing, like it's fine. But like any of these people who were willing, like. And anybody that changed their mind, like, hey, cool, like if you're righteous and on the right points, and like, and what is that? And what is that? It's not my terms. It's just that there's actually this progressive wing of the Democratic Party that's really ready to break off, and it's really had enough, and it's really could take a lot of other liberals with them, because when you realize that the liberal values that you really cared about, even though you're more moderate and you're more, you know, more towards the center in some way, that you're, you know, scared of just random change, a little bit potentially. But you might realize that all those values that you really cared about in the Democratic Party, they're dead and empty and hollow and gone from the modern-day Democratic Party and all these neoliberals, assholes.
You've got to check out Brianna Joy Gray, man.
They're taking all the power for themselves. They're seizing all the power within the party, and it's just the neoliberals that are grabbing it, this power seize, and they're going to only keep it for themselves. And these people who are on the committees and the old whips and all the people, like the horrible corrupt ones, they're the ones that have, because they have all the money, and they're the ones that really have all the power in the party. They're right. The progressives are so small, and they are, you know, they are like weak, but yeah, they got to stand up and have a loud voice, man. But the thing is that yeah, there is a split in the Democratic Party. It's not my terms. It's not something I want to make myself. It's something I want us as a us to make and understand and think about carefully and stay on top of, and not just kind of let it all naturally, randomly, whimsically come together, but be like, no, this is sort of where we're at and what we're about as a brand new entity, political party, armed thing. There's a lot to think about, and that's actually a beautiful and wonderful opportunity. It's a wonderful opportunity to address everything and deal with everything that needs to be, done, addressed and dealt with. And yeah, man, I mean, it's basically all those people that we could get working together. I think that's the dream for me.
Brianna Joy Gray, man, you've got to check her out. You've got to check her out.
We need a new party, but it's those people all realizing together at the same time we need a new party and all calling for that unanimously. Like maybe it's the People's Party. Yeah.
Well, you know, it'd be a good. Theaters are a good part, an important part of the politics. I can understand why you're mad about it, but I think getting 3 more. We need to get people on the People's Party side. So I think we need to force the vote 2 more times.
It's not theater I have a problem with. It's not a well-made video or well-delivered, or even rehearsed or even teleprompter. What my problem is, because that inherently is not bad. My problem is the type of theater, like when it's what do you call it? It's not honest. It's dishonest. political theater. You know what I mean? It's this
distraction. The distraction.
Yeah, something like that. It's yeah, messed up kind of political theater that goes on sometimes. It's very
well. It sends you into a sinkhole, into nowhere, in a quicksand. Hey, look at me, look at me. Okay, I keep looking at you and clicking on your stuff and sending you. What are we doing? Just keep looking at me. No, I didn't want. That isn't what I'm doing. I thought you were talking about the issues because you cared. So, do something with my money. I gave you money so you would talk to a congressman and get a law changed or something. Shit.
Whenever I was, it's like when you're young, you're just exposed to everything. You're just an expression of your environment, whatever it is that happens to be around you. When you're older, you can choose your environment more. Not all the way, but you can choose your environment more and who you associate with and what things you pick up on and what things you start being about, because you can choose to deliberately learn about this and that news article. You don't just randomly just look at the latest news, but you search into what's happening in Ukraine or Iran or India or Pakistan, and you could watch CNN headline news all day long, and you will hear 0 seconds about India, Pakistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka. You won't hear anything about the actual world news. There's nothing happening. They just repeat the same dramatic Jerry Springer soap opera, captivating, just plenty of makeup, plenty of flashiness, like it's some kind of arcade game or Casino Jack, digital thing. It's really a messed up media that we have. It's not informative. It's not objective at all. It's not good journalism at all. It's Vice News was fantastic for a while there, but it's like basically you're not learning about the world. You think you are because they're saying this is world news. This is CNN World. No, it's world propaganda.
What do you think about Russia Today? Russia Today's propaganda, but I feel like there's a lot of truth in it.
Well, I know. I mean, when you got a bunch of truth, you got the best material. I mean, you got the most salient, most indestructible material. The problem is that lies are indestructible in their own way too, because you can't disprove them because they're not actually there. So, Trump was bought by Putin. Well, this is a lie. But how do you really go about quite disproving it when there's so much noise about it? Well, you just get lost endlessly in it, don't you?
Well, I got a good quote for you. Mark Twain has a quote about that. He says, "A lie can cross the globe before truth even pulls its pants up."
Yep, that's right. Eduardo Galeano says the same thing. He said his grandma said that always told him that lies have very short legs, meaning they can't run very far.
Right. So eventually,
I don't know. I think it's the opposite. I think he goes, no, I think it's the opposite. I think lies have very long legs, and he does this really long, beautiful segment about it in his masterful writing style. Well,
I mean, just to go along with the idea, I think lies have really long legs, but they're only good at sprinting, so they can circle the globe, but truth, and then once you find out it's a lie, it's hard to trust the person that you learn the lie from, and the history, I think, is on the side of the oppressed and on the side of the truth.
I think a good thing to remember is that whoever says the thing first defines it. That's why negative ads are so powerful. It's hard to walk back. It's hard to dismantle and undo the damage whenever Biden says he went down and hung out with.
But yeah, that's true. But I mean, look where we're at with Donald. He's lied to us 50,000 times, so we know he's a pathological liar. He's a peddler, grifting, dirty, rotten son of a bitch. So you shouldn't trust a single word that comes out of that low-life piece of shit's mouth. You shouldn't trust a single thing he ever says. For the rest, you heard him say that, and then you thought he was going to do. He fooled me with that Christmas speech, man. I thought he was going to fight against Pelosi, but Pelosi twisted his arm, and made him sign his own disgraceful bill. What a terrible fucking ending! I thought he was going to be the president, actually get us all $2,000 checks at the end. Nope. He's like, I will not be the president all the way to the end. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I get confused whenever people talk about Trump, just because, I mean, there's so much confusion surrounding Trump, It's like...
Well, I think that's the point. That's the point.
Oh, yeah, that's the point, because the more confused you are, the more unsure you are. The more unsure you are, the more you doubt yourself. The more you doubt yourself, the more you're willing to believe more fucking confusing shit.
Well, I heard this argument that with Fox News, their job isn't so much to win the argument, but to confuse it. And so then you're like, well, I wanted Medicare for all, but they said that they're doing death panels, and I don't want death panels, so shit. I'll split the difference.
Right, man. It's just like with the hyperbole around immigrants or Trump misfitted in, or like it's anything ignorant that the Republicans are about. Never been a Republican. But yeah, do you remember that though? Like it's whoever defines it first has a really big advantage, no matter what it is. And a good way to remember that is like if you have two friends and they get in a fight when you're not there, and maybe it's an argument, maybe it's an actual fight. But whenever the first friend when you first hear about it, it's probably going to be one of those. Let's say it's one of those friends that tells you about it, and the version that they give you is going to be so much more powerful than the version the other one gives you later. Maybe later the other one tells you their story, and you're like, holy shit! Oh wow, they didn't tell us that. But it's still like that first one. If it's one of those kind of argument fights, you know, it's just like a personal pride issue. People were offended. It's like the first person that defines it and tells you about it, you're kind of on their side because it's like that's how you heard. That's the first emotions you had about it.
Yeah.
And then the other emotion, the other reaction you're going to get from the other person, you have to kind of like see it from their way. It's a little harder because you've already seen it this one way, and it's like that's how those lies do that, and that's how they do so much damage. Like Biden lying about himself and his achievements because he doesn't have real ones.
Well, to carry on with your own metaphor, you need to carry on with the conversation. What you need to do is put them both. I know what you're talking about because, well, it's the only story that you know when the first person tells you. But I believe both sides. Like when they're telling me, and if it looks like they're being honest and genuine when they're telling me, I believe them both. And so then it's like, okay, shit, what do I do now? But you put them together. I mean, that's like, okay, what did you say? What did you say? And let's get to the bottom of this. And then what can we do about it? Is there a solution? Because if they're both your friends, what if they're fighting over you, you know? Like, hey, guys, I'd rather you get along and not fight.
Well, I mean, wisdom lies in contradiction. And both basically, like,
no, it doesn't.
Every court case that's ever happened in history has had people on both aisles supporting the plaintiff and the defendant.
But there's the right side and the wrong side.
Well, no, I mean, I'm going with your own argument, and I'm saying that maybe you try to understand both of them, and you realize that in terms of most arguments, if you just, you know, do some introspection and realize, and most arguments, exceptions definitely present, most arguments you have with a friend, you're both kind of at fault in some way. Like, most arguments you have with a family member or your significant other, you are both sort of wrong, and it's both your pride's in the way, and that's you can't both admit that you're both wrong. In some way.
But then, you know, I don't know. That's why you got to have that conversation, because what if it's clear that one was right and one was wrong, and the other one is just like, you know, you ever seen The Good Son?
Well, then that person who's wrong has a choice. They can be like, okay, am I going to own up to this, or am I going to lie, and am I going to fucking...
Well, they're already lying, so they'll probably keep lying. And people lie. People want to keep you as friends, so people lie, you know. I just feel like the conversation needs to keep on going, because if you believe the first person of what they say, I mean, I guess you're saying that it holds a greater impression in your mind. But I can be swayed the other way. I mean, I can consider this and consider that. So if one way, I can see it both ways. Can't you see it both ways? Like sometimes it could be an equal thing where both people are at fault. Because ultimately, I mean, when you were saying that, I was thinking if both people want to be friends and you're being awful to each other, then you are both wrong, because you're trying to be friends, but you're being awful. So you got to just stop being awful and start being friends again. And if you can't, you know, get past that argument, you got to say, is it important enough? Are we going to lose a friendship over it? Or let's forget about it and just talk about what kind of ice cream we're going to get. You know what I mean? So I see it both ways. I think that one could be, but that would be awful. What if the good son, the one kid said he killed like the younger brother, like in the bathtub or some shit, and so there's two brothers, and the one brother is just terrorizing the other brother, just like, you know, I'm going to get you one day, and just like fucking doing crazy psychotic shit. And he kept telling the mother, because the other one was a stepson, and so he kept telling the stepmother, he keeps doing this and that, and they wouldn't believe him. And then the other kids set him up a couple times, and so it looked like he was lying. And so to the parents, it was, you know, well, you're a little wrong, he's a little wrong, can't you all just... But there was clearly one person was way fucking wrong.
One was sadistic, one was being sadistic and malicious.
And lying and being, like, nice in front of the parents, and then pretending he was the sweetheart, and then behind the scenes being, you know, oh, now they're gone, now I gotcha, ha ha ha, and that kind of bullying kind of shit.
What was the story about? Who was it about?
It's A Good Son. It was Macaulay Culkin. It was after Home Alone.
Oh.
It was good son, and it also had Frodo. What's his name? The Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Elijah Wood?
Yeah, he was the good one, and Macaulay Culkin was the bad one.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then I won't tell you the end.
Somebody that happened to in real life. Like, that's what I was thinking about.
Well, she had to make a Sophie's Choice at the end. It was fun, like, for a kid, like, you know, it's a child actor or whatever, so I guess it's a different life. But, like, for me, I'm thinking like life and death issues when I'm 7.
Right. Yeah, movies, I mean, and things can be powerful, you know. What you spend your time with, like, you know.
No, it's I like Macaulay. I probably would like Macaulay till the day I die. He was getting beat up. He had some abuse when he was growing up, and so was his siblings. And when he made some money, he got a lawyer and got them all out, rescued them all, and adopted them all. Oh, I thought that was awesome. That's like one of the few. It's one of the few heroes. Like Howard Zinn says, the point of history is you look around for. Basically, it's tragic and everybody loses and it's awful. We all die, right? So, but the point of history is to find those heroes that was able to go, you know, that stood up in the face of adversity and was successful. Those are the models we need, the ones that were successful. And so, yeah, he was successful.
Yeah, dude. I think that ties in.
It ties into everything. My favorite Kentuckian.
Keep going. You're on it, man.
My favorite Kentuckian in the entire world was Willis Russell. And Willis Russell, he's just, you know, from the county. I'm from Gallatin County, and Owen County is right next door. And he was from Owen County. So this is racist, backwards-ass, dumb-ass Kentucky. So I'm reading about this guy named Willis Russell right after the Civil War, right after Reconstruction failed. You had the rise of the KKK, and slavery was illegal, so they were just terrorizing black people to either, you know, move across the tracks, or in the Owen County, Kentucky, it was to cross the Ohio River. You better swim across the Ohio River, you're going to die. And so there was a lot of black people that would just have to swim, you know, across for freedom. So anyways, the KKK is terrorizing the shit out of everybody, killing blacks, people left and right. And Willis Russell was a federal agent that was supposed to be incognito, and he essentially single-handedly arrests everybody in the KKK, including the main ringleader, and he beats them. He fucking beats them. This one guy goes into Owen County, and he, you know, pretends he's like the clerk of this little tiny shop, and this one guy's like, hey, you want to join the Klan? And he's like, hell, you know, like, oh, gotcha, you know, I'm going to listen to you, and then basically figured out their shit. It's going to turn into a bad story. 5 years later, he's going to get pardoned. The head of the KKK that he arrested got pardoned by the president, and then the guy's going to get shot just randomly, just one day eating dinner or some shit. But for one point and one time, well, the reason why I can relate to it, because when I was in Kentucky, it very much felt like I was the only progressive around. And so when he looked at Kentucky, he was up against the sheriff. He was up against the judge magistrates. He was up against the city council. He was up against not just this, you know, KKK terrorist group. He was against the entire county government.
Yeah, it's hard to be a progressive when you're living in Kentucky or Alabama or certain places.
No, I think, I could be down with Kentucky, but America's Kentucky. Like, socialism is a cuss word, right?
Yeah.
So we're not supposed to be.
It's silly because that's just part of the brainwashing dialogue. They want to divide us on socialism.
Well, tell us.
But socialism's already been here, so.
Well, tell us how many major economic systems are there, like out there in the world?
I don't trust any of them.
I know, but I feel like
socialism's pretty good.
But I'm just saying, like the total. It's just communism and capitalism. I mean, it's just, those are the only two economic system like ideas, like major ones. So we're not even allowed to talk about one of them. I mean, I guess there's
capitalism existed before it was called capitalism, though. I mean,
so did communism.
Yeah, I see that too. And you can't really ignore the money part of it, but you can't really ignore the human, like, community part of it too, like needs and balancing it out. I don't know.
Right. Exactly. So that balance is necessary, and like you said, we already got it. So, like, we've already figured it out, right? We already got a balance.
Libraries, fire departments, schools.
Right. So we've already kind of said, you know what, we want to be a little socialistic, but we also want our capitalism. We want a balance.
How does libraries work? We've been able to sustain libraries.
Yeah, I know. That's a terrible business model. That's a terrible business model. Libraries are an awful business model.
What about if we have Medicare for all, then we have a concerted effort and reason to fucking keep people from getting sick? Well, isn't that a fucking double win?
You already got me on board with that. I wonder how can we get it? Do you know like what we can do next? Jink, you guys talking about
we can be trying to find awesome people in the media. Like that's.
Do you want to do the People's Party? Are you like?
Because I was looking for cool people in because I had to replace people because like I said it wasn't just TYT that I lost. I mean, first of all I lost Seth Meyers, Bill Maher, Saturday Night Live, countless others. Like Samantha Bee was my girl, man. I wanted Samantha Bee to take over. I wanted Samantha Bee to take over the Daily Show. I was like tweeting that all the time, and it was like, man, and, I lost all these people. So
I feel you, man. I've been having the same, yeah.
Like the Humanist Report and Mike Figueredo, he joined TYT, and I knew it was going to happen, and his content fell to the wayside, went completely trash, just became trash to the Republicans instead of he used to attack the Democrats. And once he joined TYT, he stopped doing that, so I stopped following Mike Figueredo, although sometimes I watch him because he's smart and he's pretty good, but the thing is, I stopped watching him, I stopped subscribing to all those people, and I even stopped subscribing to almost everybody, like, except for Jimmy Dore.
I mean, Jimmy Dore is the only one, you know what, I wonder if, like, Jimmy Dore, like, I like, my heroes in America are the hip-hop, are the rappers and the comedians. And I wonder if that's just a better way to be. Like, his whole thing is, he's a comedian, right? So it's a shtick, and he's trying to make you laugh, and ultimately, when he's dead and gone, his legacy, yeah, he cared about politics, and he pushed this and that, but he wanted to make us laugh, right? He was a clown, and he wanted to make us laugh. And that's awesome. Maybe that's how we're supposed to be. Maybe we're supposed to be telling each other jokes, and that's just how we're supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, he's just showing us not only how to, effectively organize, but, like, we should be funny, and, life can be dreary and miserable, so why we could just, sulk in our own despair and just, woe is me, which that might be, but we can also, ultimately, this is what we know, this is what we got to do something with it. That was like, when I was in Occupy, somebody had said something like that, because I like to keep researching it, because I want to be 100%, this is where it's at, this is what we're doing, but sometimes you got to move, and you got to do something. And you got to go with what you got. You got to go with what you know. You got to go with what you know, you got to go with what you got, you got to go, like, this is a terrible, but like Donald Rumsfeld said, you fight with the army that you got, not the one that you want. So Jimmy Dore's got an army, man. Jimmy Dore's got a motherfucking army. And you're right, we do need solidarity, and it's essential, so we need to, like, be best friends. Like, I'm looking at this list of, like, 20 or 30 people, and I'm like, oh, I'm pretty impressed. If there's 30, people, there's probably more. But then I'm thinking, shit, what if it's just these 30? What if these are the only 30 truth tellers?
Ron Placone used to seem like more of a ballsy, like, Ron Placone used to seem like more of just like just tell it like it is, just like.
Let me talk about Ron Placone.
He's a little softer, like Joe Rogan got a little softer, but I just want to say, like, basically, I thought it before, like, it used to be Sink at the top, and then Jimmy, and then Ron Placone. I was like, what if it was Ron Placone at the top? Or I was like, what if it was Tim Black at the top, and then Sink at the very bottom, and, like, Jimmy in the middle? Like, I thought it should be reversed.
I like Tim Black. I like Tim Black a lot, so I feel like that would be all right with me. He's good at entertaining. He's fun. I don't. What makes him tick? Why does he do what he does?
There's never been a point where I saw Tim Black. There's never been a single point where I ever saw Tim Black be like, let's just go ahead and wait for the change. He gets fired up anytime anybody talks about fucking not doing shit. The straightest direct path to Bernie Sanders or some real fundamental change, and he's all about it, and he's not gonna back down for the change.
He told me two things. There's some interesting things.
He's intelligent as fuck.
I basically couldn't hear much disagreement when I was in my force the vote sort of stupor. But he had said that he said he was for force the vote. He likes the tactic and he hopes it works or whatever, but he didn't think it was going to work. He said Pelosi's going to still be the speaker, and so he was right about that. And then he also said, I said, who would vote against the $2,000, or who would vote against health care in a pandemic? And he said the same people voting against the $2,000. So I thought that was an interesting point, but I don't know how relevant it is because that's the last Congress, right? So now we got a new Congress, and we don't know how they'll vote. At least not yet. So and then the Senate.
That's a good way to immediately vet give it yeah, man.
The Senate is on its borderline too.
There was no reason not to see how it would shake out, and those guys we called their fooey out. We're not just a bunch of ninnies like they thought. But I wanted to say that
ninnies.
Get going, man. It's been good talking, dude. But what do you call it? I was gonna say one other little thing. Just that I had to get.